So I've got a pretty modestly sized YouTube channel, but if you've been on YouTube long enough and making content consistently enough, you will eventually be approached by any number of companies, some of whom make sense, sort of. I get asked to make content for microphone makers and companies that make pedals that you'll have never actually seen in any shop here in the UK, for example, but lots of sort of cheaper end stuff that I get sent, and also, you know, the likes of Temu and AliExpress, who I'm not sure exactly how I fit in with them, or you know, like VPN or mobile games, and I'm not really sure I'm the one to tell you about any of those things. So when I was approached by Supro amps, to be honest, I was wonderfully surprised. I just wasn't expecting it. And the funny thing is that I had said to myself, I will not do any sponsored content or collaborative stuff with people and with gear companies who I just don't already think I would buy from. You know, I've done stuff with lots of small pedal makers, people making small amounts of high quality pedals. So to be approached by Supro, I just thought that really fits in. This is an amp company that I've looked at in the past, never actually bought one of their amps, and probably that's my fault for just overlooking that part of the market, because the amps I'm talking about with Supro are probably in the £500 to £1,000 range. And yeah, I'd always intended to. So when they emailed and said, would you like to take a Delta King 12 and do a video for us? Like, you can keep the amp, make us a video, we won't tell you what to say, just make what you want, and that'll be great. I was like, yeah, thank you very much, I will definitely do that. So I've had the amp for a couple of weeks, and I've been playing on it quite a lot. I was instantly quite surprised because I was expecting a sort of sterile and small experience from a little amp like this, and it's nothing of the sort. This is an amp full of character. Now, it can do your standard stuff. You can get a beautiful clean with a Strat. You can get a great pushed blues tone with a Les Paul. You can get some gritty delta tones with a Gretsch. Okay, before we go any further, let me tell you a bit more about this amp. So this is a Class A 15 watt amp. So it's quite different from a lot of amps you'll come across that are what are called push-pull amps. This only has one power tube. Now, what I think is great about that is that allows, well, as far as I've understood it before, a Class A amp is like the most pure type of amp. You know, you're going to get so much tone through. And it has a 3-band EQ, and if you turn off all the EQs, you won't have any volume. So that means that there's a sort of active gain or a gain in each of those EQs, which is, I quite like that. It has a channel volume or gain volume and a master volume. And later in the video, you're going to hear and see the decibel meter where the master volume goes at different levels. And then there's a boost in here, which I find really useful and use quite a lot. And then there is like an overdrive switch, which is made by Pigtronics. It's an FAT circuit. I don't know a lot about that, to be honest. I found it usable in certain situations. Generally, if you have the gain quite low and you use that, it gives quite a nice fat, I mean, literally, it's called an FAT circuit, a fat overdrive sound, and you will also hear that in a second. What you're going to hear now is the Gretsch guitar, and you're going to hear that with no boost and no overdrive, but with the volume quite high. And then I turn the volume down and use the overdrive circuit. It's the only time you'll hear it in this video. And I think it is really good and fat and useful for what I play in that. And then so you can hear the difference, I turn off the overdrive and also still have the gain low. So you hear what the sort of clean sound is with that. The other thing is the speaker is a proprietary speaker from Supro. And although I don't fully understand it, it's made to be like original speakers from the sort of 40s and early 50s, which were called field coil speakers. So a bit different from what we normally have. And I think that overall obviously must add to the whole personality of this amp. And the more I'm playing with it, the more I think this amp just has so much character to it. Right, let's hear that Gretsch. Or P90 Les Paul. It will do all of those things. But what I really like about this amp is it's not just a general do it all quite neutral amp. It's one which, well, it knows what it wants to be. And I think I finally found something to show you about it that really sets this amp apart, and a reason why I'm so glad I've got it. And it will actually, for me, be the amp I use for this sort of thing. So I'm by no means a slide player. It's probably the first time I've played slide in about a year, but I do enjoy it a lot. And the reason I don't play it actually is I don't always have a guitar set up for it, but this old SG from, or Les Paul Jr. from 61, plays really nicely for slide. And the other thing is most amps I use, they're either got too much headroom and they're too clean, or they're just not the right sound, and then I'll need a compressor and an overdrive and stuff to make it, for me, possible to play slide. So I was really pleasantly surprised when I just hit the boost on here and had the gain quite high and dropped this guitar into drop D tuning. It sounds massive. I absolutely love it. And as I said, I'm not by any means a practiced slide player. It's something I do want to get better at. And that's one of the things I love about this amp, is it puts me in a certain frame of mind. Some amps are like an open playing field, like 100 watt 2-rock classic reverb. You can make that do absolutely anything you can dream of and stack 20 pedals and it won't bat an eyelid, so to speak. This amp is far more capable than you'd think it would be, the Supro. I mean, really very capable. For me, this could be someone's only amp, for sure. It does a really lovely clean. The reverb, which is all analog, is lovely. And then having that boost and that overdrive, to me, although they're not perfect in every situation, although the boost I find really, really useful, they add a character that you just don't get in another amp, and they allow you to make some sounds and noises that are not just your typical amp sounds. Right? It can really inspire you and make you feel creative. And that's what it did when I picked up the SG and plugged it in. And for that reason, I'll be using this for some really specific things. And it records really nicely. I don't always like small amps if they have small speakers, but this is quite a small actual cabinet amp, but it has that 12-inch speaker. And so it doesn't feel that small and it doesn't sound too boxy. It doesn't sound like a really small amp. So what we're going to do here, you're going to hear more of that SG, and I'm going to change the master volume. So it will start at full volume, go to 3/4, half and quarter. So you can see, unfortunately, I didn't focus properly on the decibel meter, but you can still read it and you'll see how useful the master volume is. And I would say it's a great master volume. So often a master volume just means you lose a lot of tone or feeling in the amp. But with this one, not as much as I thought you would, especially at such low volumes that it gets to. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. And I thought as I turned the master volume down, the character of the tone changed slightly, but there was always a sort of immediate feel to it, a great feel to play it, and a sound that I really liked. And what I was trying to get there with the SG, I wasn't trying to play too cleanly with slide or mute all the strings all the time. I liked the sort of resonatory sound to it. And this amp, it does translate. It feels like it translates everything all the strings and the bridge are doing, and so you do get these sort of like sounds and squeals and sort of, you know, things that just add so much character to the sound. And I was a bit worried when Supro approached me because I thought, what if I accept the amp and then I just don't like it? I'm not someone who can hide my feelings very well, which has been a bonus for me on this channel because you'll often be able to tell when I really don't like something. Or most of the time, if I don't like it, it doesn't get a video anyway. But the amp turned up and I plugged it in, and straight away I was nervous, turned it on, and I was so happily surprised. Not only did it sound great, I think I was playing it with a Strat that first time and it was clean and the reverb sounded really good. I didn't even know it had an analog reverb before it arrived. It just didn't feel in any way like I might have thought the price might have made it, if that makes sense. The only comparison I can make, which is double or triple the price, is the Gibson Falcon, the new one, which I really didn't enjoy at all. That felt a bit lifeless to me and a bit like they hadn't decided exactly what they wanted the amp to do. I've got an old Gibson Falcon, which is a fantastic amp. But Supro have called it the Delta King and they've stuck with that. They've made an amp that is full of character, where the size of the combo, so it's not the most huge and full of bottom end amp, and they do like more Fender style. I don't know if it's Fender style exactly, but more of those slightly higher wattage and bigger bottom end amps in bigger cabinets. But this one, this is like the smaller body of it, carry it around, use it in the living room, the studio, take it out to small gigs, take it out when you're going to play with friends, but have this specific sound. Yes, you can play it clean. Yes, you can play it pretty fat and overdriven, but all that time it's going to sound like the Supro Delta King, and that's what I really like about it. It's not just another amp. It is something that's worth adding to either a collection of amps if you already have quite a few, or it definitely could be someone's only amp. You know, I guess if you need an effects loop, that might not be true. It has some features on the back, stuff that I don't use, line outs and things like that. But again, they've chucked a lot into this amp, so I'm really impressed. If I was going to say anything negative, the overdrive circuit is, well, I've only liked it a couple of times, depending on the setting and the guitar. If the gain is lower and I turn it on, it's quite good. I think in a pinch, if you didn't have a, you know, a pedal board with you, you could definitely use that. But most of the time, I probably wouldn't use the overdrive feature on it. It's not my favorite thing. The boost function, on the other hand, really adds grit and volume to the amp. And I find that really useful, whether you're playing clean or dirty. It just adds something that I really like. So yeah, I had been considering giving this away. I haven't asked Supro if they're okay with that, but I actually want to keep it for now. Maybe it will be one of my giveaways in future, like 20,000 subs or something. I think it's a really cool amp. I love this particular color. They gave me a choice of colors. I had actually asked for the tweed one. They said they'd run out of those for now. I hadn't really looked at this color. I'd just seen the tweed and like that. I'm really glad I got this. It's different from all my other amps. It's very cool looking. Supro have a lot of personality, both in the design and the sound, and the way that they're quite different from all the other amp companies. So yeah, I highly recommend it. It's amazing bang for your buck. Now you'll hear this amp a lot going forward when I do more of my big multiple amp videos where I have 10, 15 or more amps with you know, one theme to the video, whatever the theme is. So this will be in those videos, so you'll hear a lot more of that. It was in the last one I did where I did a lot of clean tones with one guitar. You can find that on the channel a couple of videos ago. The other thing is to say that someone won my giveaway recently, but they've not obviously watched that video and not noticed, so I'll try and approach them using their YouTube username. If I can't get through to them in the next couple of weeks, then I will pick another name. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel. I do giveaways. The next one will be at about 15,000 subs. I haven't decided what that is yet. Probably another set of Sunbear pickups, which was a really popular giveaway that I did just now at 12,000 subs. And give this video a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. You know, it just lets me know that I've put a decent video together, basically. Let me know if you have any questions, and also let me know if you want me to do a more in-depth video with this. Generally, it's going to be around the channel. I'll use it for all sorts of things, but I was very happily surprised with it. And yeah, it's a very cool, characterful Delta blues and other bluesy stuff and some rocky stuff type of amp. Anyway, cheers.